Hello, hello, good morning. Welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have two unusual, not well-known American blended whiskeys. This is Bellows Club Whiskey. I have seen it at one restaurant, a Chinese restaurant. It's in this Jim Beam conical bottle. You don't see these too much anymore, but if you find Kessler, if you can find a liter of Kessler, Julius Kessler blended whiskey, it's in that same like conical top Beam Suntory bottle. Now, I bought this at International Market in Metairie, Louisiana. It says 80-20. I forgot to put that. They're both 80-20 blends, meaning 80% grain spirits, 20% straight whiskeys, probably bourbon. It doesn't have to be bourbon, but it invariably is. (80-20) blend ratio. This bottle I bought, like I said, at International Market. It was $8.99 for the liter. I could tell it was old. It has the old Bellows insignia on it with, I say it's a housefly. Some people might say it's a honeybee, but to me it looks like a housefly. But anyway, I guess they figured it looked like that because if you look at the new bottles, they don't show that anymore. They just show a bee, a big bee and an old bee. The big old bee and the modern bee. B is for Bellows. Blended and bottled at Frankfurt and Clermont under United States government supervision by Bellows and Company, an honored name since 1830. Well, it was started in 1830, but if anytime you see a bottle that says Frankfurt and Clermont, Kentucky, that's Beam Company, now Beam Suntory. So that's it. You're not going to be seeing this anymore. It's like Paulie. You won't be seeing him around anymore. Okay, so there it is. There it is. There it is. Competition. Bay Street Spirits. Bay Street Spirits blended American whiskey crafted from a unique blend of 20% straight whiskey and 80% grain neutral spirits. Typical ratio. They don't always use that ratio though. Produced and bottled in Florida by Caribbean Distillers, or as it says in the bottle, Florida Distillers. Doesn't matter which one you type in. If you type in Florida Distillers or Caribbean Distillers, it's going to take you to the same website. Their most famous product is Capriccio. Spirit wine. Not spirit wine. What am I saying? Citrus wine products. So I know Mathern's got it all on display right now. Capriccio citrus wine flavored products. And people buy them. And they got the canned ones too that are like different flavors. And I mean, think about Florida, all the orange groves, not as many as they used to have 45 years ago when I was a child. We went to Florida. It wasn't as developed yet. There's orange trees everywhere. And my sister, she was 4 years old. She said, those trees aren't orange. They're green. We all laughed. We said, well, they make fruit that's orange. Oh, she understood. But you think about all the old leftover oranges that maybe you couldn't sell because they bruised or damaged in some kind of way, but they can ferment them into a wine, citrus orange wine. Yes. And they make a lot of cheap wines that way. If you go to the liquor store or the convenience store, you'll see those. And they also make them into like a liquor. It'll say citrus spirits. Now, is it any good? It's kind of like a brandy, you know. I guess, well, what else would it be? Couldn't be whiskey. It's not gin. It's not vodka. Well, whatever it is. You can make vodka from fruit because they make grape vodka at Ciroc. Ciroc is a company that makes vodka and brandy, but they brag on their website how our vodka is made from grapes, not like America where they make it from corn, or Russia where they make it from potato. Well, all of those are fine, I guess. It's just a way of doing it. But here it is, Bay Street. This is not any of their citrus product, though. This is grain-based. 20% straight whiskey of some sort. I don't know. It's so light. It might be corn whiskey and 80% grain spirits. Neutral, meaning no smell, no taste. And they're raw. No age. Maybe no age. You say, what do you mean? Maybe no age. Well, read the Tax and Trade Bureau guide handbook of distilled spirits, and it says grain neutral spirits. Well, they have to be made from grain. Common sense. They have to be certain ABV and all of that. Have to be odorless, tasteless, essentially, and but then it said they have to be stored in wooden vessels. Well, if you're storing it and it's a big wooden vat, let's say, not a barrel, but this huge vat, whatever, but it's aging, ain't it? Now, I know you might say, well, it might only be a week. It might only be 24 hours till they start blending it. Well, that's true. True. But what if it is a month? What if it is 2 months? So it could start to take on some aroma and flavor. Now, Eric Frauenfeldt of Thomas Meadow 75 was coming at me like saying, not really coming at me per se, but coming at the product, talking about that's not real whiskey and so on. I said, oh, not this again, because I've heard that over the years. Like most of them, he probably never read the Tax and Trade Bureau handbook of distilled spirits. And I said, no, you don't understand the concept of it. It's not straight bourbon, but it's the same product because it's almost all corn products, and bourbon is almost all corn products. It's a different application of the same cereal grain. And most Canadian whiskey is blended. Most Irish whiskey is blended. Most Scotch whiskey is blended. Now, in the United States, they use the term grain neutral spirits. In Canada, they use the term grain whiskey and so forth in Ireland and Scotland. But it's all the same thing. It's column stilled corn, mostly corn. And in China, Japan, they do the same thing, but they could use rice also. Doesn't really matter what you use. But in Ireland, Northern Ireland, and other Commonwealth countries, Ireland's not in the Commonwealth, but Northern Ireland is, they have to age the grain spirits 3 years. They can either age it separately in oak barrels, or they can age it with the barley malt whiskey, the malt whiskey. It's up to the company. Now, if you read the Black Velvet website, though, famous Canadian blended whiskey, which I don't like personally, but it's famous, or maybe some people say infamous. Okay, fair enough. They talk about how they use grain neutral spirits. They don't say grain whiskey. It says grain, or it used to say on the website, grain neutral spirits. But they age them all together for Black Velvet. They age the grain spirits, grain whiskey, and the various barley malt and corn whiskey. They call it corn high wine, barley high wine, and then the grain. They age it together for 3 years because they say it's like it makes it come out better. Like in Louisiana, gumbo, put all the ingredients together and cook it, and then some people keep it in the fridge for 3 days, whatever. So it kind of like all the seasoning soaks into all the meat and the crab meat and the vegetables, or as they say in New Orleans, vegetables. All right. So anymore, we might do a grain out. Maybe one day we'll do a grain whiskey hangout, blended whiskey hangout, and talk about it, because there's a big misconception. Now, do I love this stuff? It's all right. Is it cheap because they're using 80% grain whiskey unaged, which is cheap? Well, yeah, common sense. Of course, it's going to be cheap because time is money, and you're not aging it. And you say, well, that's moonshine. Moonshine is corn whiskey that they don't age. And it's clear, odorless, colorless. Exactly. Except the moonshine is usually not cut. It might be 150 proof. The diesel. So you can buy this diesel and Everclear. is 190 proof. It's not cut at all. You can buy it at Walmart, Everclear. You buy diesel at Mathern's, I know that. I think you can buy diesel at Walmart. And then Total Wine sells a brand of it. But that's grain neutral spirits. And it's actually designed to make your own liquor. So if you look at the Everclear website, they're pretty much saying, don't drink this. It's poison. It's too strong. It should be cut with water and made into various, either if you want to make liqueurs at home or your own liquor. But so anyway, if you had charred oak barrels, you could make your own bourbon with Everclear if you got it down to an acceptable proof level, like 80 or 90 or 100. All right, enough of that. Oh, I've got my fingerprints all over these glasses. I didn't realize that, but you can't see that on the video too well. But they're smudged with my fingerprints. One thing we know for sure is that the Bay Street is much lighter. I noticed that about their other blended whiskey that I bought, which was the King Square. I bought that at Specs in Texas, cheap, $5.99 a bottle. And they had a weird blend ratio on that one, 72.5 to 27.5. It's 27.5 straight whiskey. It was weird. And it was so light. I said, it must be corn whiskey, straight corn whiskey, because it's so light. There's no red. It's just like pale straw. This one is the same way. It's pale straw. There's no redness to it. There's no bourbon. You see what I mean? There's like no bourbon quality to it. Doesn't that look like mellow corn? It could be straight corn whiskey. And what is the difference between bourbon and straight corn whiskey? No difference. Aha, no difference. Straight bourbon, straight corn whiskey, same product. You say, well, why they got two different names? There's one difference. One difference. Straight bourbon is aged in new charred oak barrels, and straight corn whiskey is aged in new uncharred oak barrels. That's it. You char the oak or you don't char it. Same product, different outcome by virtue of how you process it if you live in Canada, or process it if you live in the United States of America. Ah, ha, ha. So I'm going to have to close my eyes, because if I glance at that pale, which they obviously not adding color, there's no age statement, so we know the straight whiskey is at least 4 years old. And if it's corn whiskey and they're aging it in uncharred white oak barrels, it's really not going to pick up a lot of color, except like you're seeing that faint yellow. Now, the Bellows Club Whiskey, it says in a bottle, at least 4 years old, the straight whiskey. And it's probably bourbon, and it's probably Jim Beam, and it's probably Jim Beam Reject. Bellows was sold to Luxco in 2015, okay? So now it's a Luxco brand. It used to be a Jim Beam brand. But you think every batch of Jim Beam comes out right? Wrong. Do they dump it and get rid of it and waste it? Oh, no. You know what they do with it? They blend it and make a cheap blended whiskey. They don't waste it. Sorry. And that's why these are $13.99 for a handle or $8.99 for a liter. They cheap because they are cheap. But that doesn't mean they're bad. Henry McKenna's cheap. Henry McKenna is cheap. Straight bourbon. That's straight bourbon. And look what it did in the taste challenges. Just goes to show you, don't judge before you know what you're doing. On aroma, I gotta tell you, oh, Jeep and Foodie, Caleb, I think you can use Everclear to make extracts and tinctures. I think you're right. It's versatile. I know that. If you want to save money, get the diesel brand from Sazerac. Be the same thing, same purpose, same use. And then there's one, like I said, there's one from Everclear's from Luxco. Sorry. There's one from, well, there's one from everybody. You know what I mean? All these liquor companies make an uncut grain neutral spirits. They got various names, you know. You see it all at different stores. There was one from what's the name of that stuff from Heaven Hill? I saw it at a store. Had some weird looking label. I was like, man, I would never buy that stuff. Oh, and by the way, at Auburndale, Florida, at Caribbean Distillers, they make a rum called Club Carib. Club Carib's only been on the market since like 2007, but it's listed under the rums of Puerto Rico. It's one of the official rums of Puerto Rico because they followed all the guidelines. So they had to let them into the club. They may not have wanted them in the club, some Johnny come lately, but it's there and it's featured on the website, the rums of Puerto Rico, with their video and everything. But I think it's a Puerto Rican company that actually owns Florida Distillers or Caribbean Distiller. Is it a Puerto Rican or a Miami based? It's some guy. I can't remember his name, but he owns the Puerto Rican distillery. He owns the ones in Florida, and he has this art collection in Miami. There's a website for it. It's called whatever his name is, collection. And it's like CC1. That's his company. It's like that's his initials. Whatever. All right. Now this one smells cleaner, like without the bourbon, like more corn. So I think it's the Bay Street. But honestly, I don't know. Do they smell all right? Yeah, they smell fine. Smell like grain that somebody distilled. You say, well, duh, what do you think it is? Yeah, that's what it is. So here's the taste. Are people drinking this stuff neat? I am. You say, what about the other people that buy it? No, they're mixing it. They're mixing it with Hawaiian Punch, Delaware Punch, and Minute Maid orange juice. Minute Maid lemonade. Who knows? You know. Some of them put it in coffee. Well, that tastes all right. Tastes like sweet corn. I don't want to say candy corn, but it's along those lines. I hear an owl going, ooh. You know, fall is arriving when the owls show up. Late August, you start hearing them. They don't like the heat, so they go away in the summer. They probably go up north. But you know what? I don't detect much difference here. I'm surprised that all the various companies don't make their own 180 proof alcohol. Everclear, Luxco pretty much is the only game in town around here. Well, I think they all do make it. It's just that the distribution could be wonky. I mean, I don't know how big the demand is for that stuff. So if Everclear is in your town, it makes it difficult for other ones to compete because everybody knows about Everclear, so they run and get it. Diesel is known in Louisiana. Now, how popular it is, I know. I don't know. I know that there's a company that sells daiquiris at the Southeastern Louisiana baseball games. I can't remember the name of the company. Daiquiri, whatever company. They're in Hammond, and they have a little mobile unit that they bring out to the baseball field, set up with a tent and all. And they sell various daiquiris, which I can't stand personally. But one of them that they make is orange. They use an orange food color and whatever, and it's like some tropical punch flavor, which I tried, and it was nasty as heck. But they used 190 proof diesel in it. It says it on their little board, their promo thing, made with 190 proof diesel. I said, man, how could you drink that? You know, And there's a lady that, I don't know if she's going to go anymore because her son, he might be finished over there, but she would drink that thing and get more increasingly hostile and loud. By the end of the game, by the 8th inning, it was like, well, here comes trouble. It's kind of funny, really. That's the club whiskey. I know it is. You know why? Because club whiskey has a weird flavor. It's like pepper. You say they don't add black pepper to whiskey, okay? I know they don't, but it's something weird about it. It's something unpleasant about it. Maybe that's why they no longer make it. They don't make club whiskey anymore. Get on the Bellows website. They don't have any mention, well, meaning get on the Luxco website. They don't have any mention of club whiskey. I think that's a retired thing. It's something about it. Is this the worst blended whiskey I have? American blended whiskey. I think it is. Is it terrible? No. I don't know. There's something about it I don't like. Well, I'm going to feel embarrassed if I got it wrong, huh? See, this one has more of the corn. I don't know, but it could be the club whiskey too. I don't know. These things are confusing. Now, I've said this a million times, and I didn't just make this up to defend myself if I get it wrong. Look what I've said. I said, if you take a whiskey and drink it on its, or brandy or rum or a vodka, whatever. I don't know about vodka. I never did taste challenge with vodka. If you take a whiskey and you drink it in isolation, it'll taste a certain way. You say, oh, yeah, it's got blah, 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 et cetera, characteristics. Fine. But when you start putting it up against other ones, it'll taste different. Strange. Like you'll say, well, I didn't notice that before. Hey, there's something bad about this that I hadn't picked up before. It'll like each whiskey will draw out bad or good characteristics of the other. Then you go on to the next blind taste challenge and then the next one, and it'll do that. You say, why don't you do that more with beer? Well, see, beer is problematic. And I'll tell you why. Here we're dealing with a few little ounces. No big deal. A few little ounces, you taste it, you go on with about your day. But then with the beer, you got these big cans, 12 ounces to 16 ounces. So now what you're going to do? Dump it out? Well, no, you're not going to dump it out. You're going to end up drinking. So then you're drinking too much beer all day, and then you start gaining weight. It's not healthy. So it's just a matter of practicality. Do I like doing blind taste tests with beer? Yeah, I do. But it's more problematic. With spirits, you're just doing a few little ounces, and then you're done with it. And you're not dealing with all these cans, and then the beer goes flat. It's a real pain, you know. I'm telling you, something menthol about it too. You say menthol, you mean like wintergreen? I don't know. It's just weird. Oh, this product you can't buy it, so I can't watch somebody say, I found club whiskey on the shelf. It's an old looking bottle like you have. Well, it's probably an old bottle. See, I think this one's not a lot sweeter, and it doesn't have that weird mentholated and pepper taste. I do think the Bay Street Spirits whiskey is using corn whiskey. Straight. It has to be straight. If you make blended whiskey, fine. But it has to have at least 20% straight whiskey. What if it's less than 20%? Then that's a different class of product called spirit whiskey, Eric. Spirit whiskey is a thing. I didn't say it was a good thing, but it does exist, and you can buy it. They got Rebecca Creek Spirit Whiskey. Southern Comfort is made with spirit whiskey. Tells you that right on the website and the label, which means it's not even 20% straight bourbon, but it is straight whiskey of some sort, but lower than 20%. What do I think about straight spirit whiskey? Well, I've never had spirit whiskey, so I have no comment on it. I don't know what it tastes like. Probably tastes like a neutral flavor to a large extent. But I can't say that because I never had it. All right, so I'm going to say this is the club whiskey. It's okay. It is the club whiskey. Whew, close call. No, but there's just something weird about it. That strange menthol oddness. But you might like that. You might say, oh yeah, I like that minty flavor. I like that strange black pepper note to it. It's all my kind of thing. Well, good. Go to Chinese King. They got some on the shelf. Look like one person a year orders it. I miss your double downs. I miss them too, but I ran out of double down materials. The thing I didn't. People say, why you gave up on double downs? I didn't give up on it. I put a big, deep emphasis on pretty much everything I could think of. You say, well, why don't you do it with some craft beers and all? Well, I could, but I think there's more appeal to doing it with stuff like Rolling Rock and Budweiser. I would like to do Land Shark. Some guy was like, I saw a man at a store yesterday. He was like irritated because they didn't have Land Shark. No, it was Monday. That's your world today, Joe Biden's America. Shortages. You say, well, he's a lot like Francisco Maduro, tyrannical and turning the country into a Venezuela. He is like that, but probably less competent. Maduro might be more competent. What I mean, I don't mean actually competent in running a country. I just mean like his mind might work better. You say, but they're both bad. You could be evil and somewhat competent, evil and completely incompetent, and evil and totally competent in your thinking. Well, yeah, I know. But you might still be evil, you know. Anyway. Like my daddy, we say daddy in Louisiana. He always say, Hitler, he was crazy. He was crazy. I said, he wasn't crazy. He didn't hear voices or have hallucinations. You know, he was just bad, you know, choosing to do bad things. That doesn't mean you're crazy if you choose to do bad things. Now, you could be, have psychosis and do bad things, but everybody who does bad things is not out of their mind. They're just bad. You know, you say, well, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, well, because you're probably not a psychopath. You know, you say, I wouldn't do what Mao Zedong did. I wouldn't do what Joseph Stalin did. I wouldn't do what Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov Lenin did, Fidel Castro, Benito Mussolini, and all of these people. Well, yeah, because you're not like that. You know, everybody's not Bill Clinton. Most people just want to have a job and do normal things and, you know, live their life. They don't have this lust for power, you know, but some people do. And that's the world of politics attracts those type of people. All right. Anyway, you say, would psychopathic politicians drink these blended whiskeys? Oh, no, they probably drink really expensive stuff like Louis XIII cognac. It's probably paid for with some kind of taxpayer expense account. They probably don't even pay for it with their own money. All right. Anyway, have you ever noticed plastic bottling affect the taste of liquor or malt liquor, says European Sun? No, I haven't. People will talk about that oftentimes, but I haven't noticed that. If I had noticed it, I would mention it. I think the plastics industry, I don't work for the plastic industry, nor do I have any family or friends that work in the plastics industry. I think the PET bottles are probably scientifically developed with a lot of testing and experience to pretty much do the same job as glass, you know. So, you know, they got people saying, oh, no, it's going to give you cancer. It's going to ruin the product. It taints it and everything. I haven't noticed that. You know, I just haven't noticed it. But that's been on the market for decades. You say, well, what about various things you can get in your arm with a needle? People will say, you should get it. We demand you get it. We will require that you get it. It is reliable. It's been on the market for months. For months. We rushed it to market and it's been on the market for months, and you can trust it because we say so. We, the government, say so. Same people that drop atom bombs on old people in Nagasaki and daycare centers in Nagasaki going to tell you that you should do this. You should trust them. Yeah, okay, yeah, sounds great. Good to know. Thanks. Oh, well, that's just my experience. I can't quantifiably say that it's reliable. I'm just saying, in my experience, I haven't noticed any problem with the plastic. I'd rather glass because it looks nicer. You know, it looks nicer. But can't really see. All right, so who wins? I think Bay Street Spirits wins. Bellows Club Whiskey hadn't exactly been doing that great anyway. It's been kind of a dud. Been losing most of the taste challenges. Got some weird off flavors, and that's probably why they stopped making it and retired the recipe to the waste bin of liquor history. And it is missed by no one. You say, well, they might be some old man in Iowa who used to drink it. He misses it. Yeah, they could be, but there ain't nobody else that misses it. Bay Street Spirits. Oh, yes. There are dozens of people in America who love this product. Dozens. I don't know about hundreds, but at least dozens. And I'm being silly, you know, but if you look at the website for Total Wine, there's some really good reviews on it. You say, oh, well, they just delete all the negative reviews. That's not true, because if you get on Total Wine's website and look at all their reviews, they keep the bad reviews up, no matter how bad it is. Same thing with like the hotel company, Wyndham, big hotel. I got a Wyndham Gold card. They'll keep the reviews no matter how bad it is. You know, it'd be like, this place is a bum. You know, it's a crack house. You know, it's terrible. Don't stay here. They'll keep it up. They'll keep it. So that's telling me that the reviews are probably pretty reliable. Of course, you know, there's that mentality. Who writes reviews for hotels? It's probably usually negative people to a large extent who are looking for any kind of little fault. You know, the average traveler is probably not, you know, walking around the hotel room with a notepad saying, this is wrong, and I don't like that, and this really bothers me. You know what I'm saying? So, like a hotel company told me one time, wow, you sent us an email telling us how you like the hotel. You know, they said, we never get feedback unless it's something that went wrong. They never get positive feedback. I said, I believe that. So you got to take that into account. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And I guess Saturday morning, we'll do Bay Street Spirits versus the regular current Bellows, the current Luxco Bellows. It ought to be a much better competition because the current Bellows is nice. It doesn't have those weird peppery, minty, off-putting flavors. And they really improved it. It can go up against most of the other blended whiskeys and do just fine. Bellows. Okay, good morning to you, B Aviation. I just got on left. Well, you can go watch the replay, though, you know, from the last 33 minutes. Thanks, everybody. Have a nice day.